Greetings everyone, how diddly. So I've just gotten back from Medjugorje. Yes, I finally decided to go. I figured people were going there from the USA, from Korea, from Australia, and it was 2.5 hours on the plane from here. So I went to have a look and to see what all the fuss is about, because almost every testimony I see online and every person I speak to, they always say it's amazing, Medjugorje. Just go. They say just go, you've got to go and see it for yourself. So I did. So I went, and I gotta say, it's a very nice place. It's a very peaceful place. It's a very prayerful place. The mass that was on at 10 a.m. every day in English was beautiful. I thought it was really lovely. It's almost like in between what you'd see as a more modern style, almost slightly bordering on charismatic mass, but then also a traditional Latin mass, because you've got some guitars there and a violin sometimes, but they sing in Latin. So it's almost like you kind of get a bit of both. For people that love the Latin language and prayers and songs in Latin, they are there. But then you've also got, as I said, a guitar and a violin, so that might make it feel more almost close to charismatic. But the Mass really is beautiful. If you want to check it out, go to Mary TV. They have that on there, 10 a.m. local time every day. And you can actually see a live stream of that. They did have wooden kneelers in this church that were very hard on the knees. Now, I don't know if this is purposely done to remind people that, hey, this isn't meant to be easy. When you kneel down before the Lord, it's meant to hurt. I honestly feel it would have been easier to kneel on the floor than on those kneelers, because they are really hard. When you look during the Mass at the altar, you see all those priests in white. There's so many priests there, because obviously priests are visiting Medjugorje all the time with their own pilgrimages, or sometimes maybe just by themselves. And there's like 15 plus priests at the altar every time. And it just looks really lovely, when we're celebrating Mass, and then when it's time for the Eucharist, to see all of them praying, and just that reverence you see from them. It's really strong, and it provides you with a real reminder of what's actually happening. Because obviously it's happening in any Catholic church where there's a Mass being celebrated, that Christ is there, and that's the body of Christ in the Eucharistic host and his blood in the cup. But sometimes you maybe almost don't feel it, whereas I feel like during this Mass in Medjugorje, you do feel it, that you just feel that something, not feel in the sense that you can feel something in your body, but you just feel like you look at that altar and the priests around it, and it gives you an idea of this kind of thing, something similar to this happening up there in heaven, because they say that when a Mass is celebrated here, it's also being celebrated in heaven, and that's kind of more how I would expect to see a Mass in heaven being celebrated. So that's lovely. To the left of the church, you have confessionals. There are confessions there, at least during summertime hours, from 6 p.m. They usually go on for a good 3 hours or so, and there are big lines to confession. Confessions in all kinds of languages. On the one side, you've got these doors that you can go into so that people don't see you if you don't want them to see you. And it has the language of the confession. Some of them have more than one language. You can go in there. Or on the other side, you've literally just got priests sitting in chairs and just lines of people waiting to talk to them. You've also got a lovely area at the back where, they often have rosary in the evening there, followed by a Mass. Those are both in Croatian, but I know that, people who pray the rosary tend to say it in their own language as well. For the Mass, you can pick up these little radios and listen to it in your own language. And they also sometimes have Eucharistic adoration there outside as well. It's a very nice area, lots of seats, far more space than in the church. And yeah, it's a nice experience to do that. I pretty much did the things I think you're supposed to do when you go to Medjugorje. I climbed Križevac, that's the big mountain, cross mountain. So this is really nice. It's a heck of a climb, and it's very rocky. You've got the stations of the cross on the way up it, so you can stop by each station and maybe say some prayers and have some quiet reflection and continue on. Really nice experience. You get to the top and you finally get to the big cross that was placed there in 1934, and you also have a lovely view of Medjugorje as well. I did Apparition Hill 3 times. That's where the alleged apparitions were supposed to have started happening. I also went to the Blue Cross, where Our Lady is supposed to have appeared for the alleged visionaries. I went to a healing Mass at a church called the Divine Mercy Church. It's a few kilometers outside of Medjugorje. I took a coach there. It's about a 15-minute journey. I got onto the coach. It seems there was already a group going there with their own tour guide, so I kind of joined them on that coach. And the tour guide, she was on the mic, and as we were heading down there, she was talking about how Medjugorje has changed her life, how she's been healed, how she knows people who have been healed, how she's seen numerous miracles. So I was getting kind of excited, we're going to a healing mass. She's been healed. Loads of people have been healed. Maybe I'm going to be healed because I also have a chronic condition. And then I thought, well, even if I'm not healed, maybe I'll see other people get healed, and that's going to be fun also. So we got there, we went into the mass, and honestly, it was basically 2 hours of charismatic worship, something that's not really my thing. A lot of hand raising, hand waving, not really into that. And then it finished, and then we left. We went back into the coach, and then this lady, who's the tour guide, she basically said, oh, it was an amazing mass, and she was amazed by all the healings that took place in the mass. There were no healings in that mass. I wasn't healed. No one around me was healed from what I could see, at least not physically. There was somebody in a wheelchair. There was a young man who could hardly walk. He still could hardly walk when he left. I did not see any physical healing that took place there. Maybe there was some spiritual healing, but if that was the case, I don't know how she would have known unless those people went up to her and told her that they were spiritually healed. So I felt a little bit disappointed coming out of there, to be honest. This lady, by the way, this tour guide, Irish lady, her name, I believe, is Deirdre Heron. Now, she also said that she sees numerous signs of miracles in the sky. Now, supposedly some people had asked her if she could maybe film this at one time so they could see it, because they say they don't see the things that she is seeing. So she did that, and here's a little bit of that video. You can see here that the sun is supposedly pulsating. It's kind of getting big and then hiding away, and then getting big and hiding away again. That's something she filmed. That's the only video that she's actually put up on YouTube. I think she made the account specifically just to put up that video so people could see this supposed sun miracle. I don't know what you think about it. I'll let you make your own judgments as to whether you think that is a miracle, or whether it's just some kind of an effect that we're seeing that isn't necessarily miraculous. Medjugorje also has a nice area where you can light candles. There's a crucifix there, a big one with Jesus, kind of a life-size Jesus on the cross there that kind of almost looks a bit lifelike, depending on when you're looking at it. There's also another statue of Jesus called the Risen Christ, where supposedly oil is coming out of the right side of Christ's right knee, and people have said that when they've taken that oil, it's actually healed them. So, of course, there were lines of people waiting to get that oil. I even took some. It hasn't healed me. I find it a bit odd that oil would be coming out of his right knee, because as far as I know, he had no nails jammed into his knees. So why would he have a wound there where oil's coming out? Unless, of course, it's, his wounds that were caused from the torture that he suffered earlier, and he did have a wound there. I don't know. I find that whole thing a bit odd. I've always found it a bit odd. This is the one area where I almost kind of understand Protestants when they look at us Catholics, that we have statues, and figures, and we believe that touching them is going to heal us. That does seem a little bit superstitious, and I can understand how it doesn't look so good for people who are not Catholics. They might see it as a little bit like idolatry, like, oh, here's a statue of Christ. If I just touch it, the statue is going to heal me. I don't think people believe it's the statue that's going to heal them, or the figure, but it certainly looks that way. It's kind of similar to when I've seen people, for example, on Apparition Hill. There's a figure of Mary there, and they've looked at Mary and they've been praying. It almost looks like they're praying to the figure, like they think Mary is inside the statue looking through the eye holes at them. Whereas I know they don't believe she is, so it's odd that we kind of choose to look right at these figures when we pray, rather than sort of looking up at the sky, for example, as we're praying. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. When I went there, I kind of was sort of slightly looking for some kind of sign. I'd heard so many things, people that have seen the sun spinning, people that have seen the sun pulsating, people that have had their rosaries turn gold, people that have had a strong smell of roses around them, indicating that Our Lady is present. I did not see any of these signs. In fact, as far as the rosaries go, I actually made sure to bring a rosary made by my brother-in-law, because he likes making rosaries. Now this one, as you can see, is actually made of string and wood. So there is no chance that this rosary is going to turn gold unless some kind of a miracle happens. Okay? Sometimes people bring metallic rosaries and then all kinds of claims are made, like, oh, well, maybe it was some kind of a reaction and then the metal looks like it's turning gold. Maybe it's something related to the sun. Sometimes they even claim, hey, look, maybe that it's a gold color originally, but then they paint silver over it and then that wears off and you think it's turned gold. None of this was going to happen with this rosary, right, that I brought with me, because it's literally string and wood. So if this came back with any of those beads in gold, I would have known that it was a miracle. And it wasn't, because it's still as it was. And yeah, I didn't see anything supernatural there, or feel anything supernatural there. I have no sense got the feeling that people say they have, that Mary is present. I didn't get that. I did feel a sense of peace, and it was very prayerful over there. But then again, I think most pilgrimage sites probably are, because, you know, pilgrims are going there to pray. There's lots of priests, there's mass. You kind of go there to get away, you know, and I had that feeling also when I went to Fatima, for example. So there wasn't any sort of extra peace here in Medjugorje that I didn't find in Fatima. Now, of course, there were plenty of shops selling things everywhere, and I know that's something that people point to, saying that Medjugorje probably isn't real because it's all just to make money. In all honesty, you get those everywhere. If you've been to other pilgrimage places, you'll see those shops selling statues and figures and rosaries as well. So I don't think that is a major issue. I went to a couple of talks there as well. There was one done by a Franciscan priest and another by Father Leon Pereira, who's the chaplain to English-speaking pilgrims there. He does that talk, I think, every week, where he basically gives his testimony, and then he talks about the 5 stones, i.e. things that we as Catholics, as believers, should be doing. Now, one thing that he did say in that talk, although I generally found the talk very interesting, as I did when I've seen some of his talks online, one thing that was odd was that he mentioned that there's a book he's reading, these volumes of books by a lady named Maria Valtorte, I believe, and it's about the life of Christ, and she was supposedly dictated this by Jesus himself. Now, he said this book is okay to read, that Our Lady has said it's okay to read this book because it's the truth. And that made me think, so Our Lady is endorsing books now? I found that a little bit odd. Maybe soon she'll be saying, hey, you can buy all these religious items that are being sold in Medjugorje because this is a holy place and they'll do you good. I just found it odd that she's now endorsing things to buy. But generally speaking, a nice place, nice people. Pilgrims are lovely. There were loads of Irish people when I was there. I mean, I think my hotel was full of Irish people and they were all around. Not that I have any issue with that because they're lovely people. I do wonder about the supernatural nature of it though. I remember when I came back not long ago and I spoke to my parish priest and I said to him, I've been to Medjugorje, what do you make of it? And he said he's not sure. He doesn't feel a need to go there, but there's certainly things there that are very odd. He says, Our Lady has never spoken so much, like she seems to be in Medjugorje. If you look at the Bible, she doesn't say very much at all. If you look at previous apparitions, she doesn't say that much. She appears a few times, says some very specific things, and that's it. Whereas here, he says she can't stop talking. She's coming every single day, giving messages, and all of those messages are very similar. You know, go out into nature and pray, and stay close to my son Jesus, and he just finds it all very strange. And I've kind of come away from Medjugorje really unsure again of what's happening there. The church seems to be heading down the direction, and he also confirmed this, of maybe believing that the first apparitions were real, and that's why there are so many good fruits coming from there. But then after that, people got greedy, they saw all these pilgrims coming, they thought there might be some good business here, and then they started basically making up more apparitions to keep people coming. I'm hoping that's not the case, but that's certainly something that's possible. But anyway, that's my experience of Medjugorje. Very nice, very peaceful, very prayerful, as I said before. The weather was lovely, even though the weather forecast said it would be horrible. But I didn't experience anything supernatural at all whatsoever. And trust me, I was looking for it. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was. I was keeping my eye out on that sky, keeping my eye out everywhere to see if there's anything here that seems supernatural, to see if I see any of the things that other people say that they're seeing. or even if I feel the presence of Mary, or feel that there's something about this place that's just completely different to any other place you can be. And I didn't get that feeling. Although I did feel that as a general place of pilgrimage, it is a wonderful place to go to. And I would recommend it, even if you wanted to go just for that reason, just to get away, just to feel some peace, just to attend a beautifully done Mass, then absolutely go ahead and come to Medjugorje. But maybe don't come if you think that there's something here specific, that if you come here you're going to see something, or Mary's going to show up to you and answer your prayer, because I'm not convinced that that is something that's going on and is going to happen to you. And that's it from me in this video, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Have a blessed day.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu